starters, we're going to talk about this one as if we were just looking on the MLS. We didn't know who the owner were, and we wanted to pick it up to fix it and flip it. So first question now is, what do you guys come up with for repair numbers?
I got 63.
Out of 63?
I had 47.
47?
Still in the 40 range.
40?
Yep.
We're 30 to 40.
30 to 40?
Yeah, same here, 30 to 40.
30 to 40?
34.
34?
60.
60?
Thank you.
30?
55.
55?
Between 50 and 60.
Yeah.
Between 50 and 60? Okay. And I'm at 37. So almost 40.
Usually we're closer, but
Yeah, usually.
I went crazy on a few things.
Could be. I mean, so our range is 30 to 60. That's a little bit better than our range was last month. Who remembers what that was?
30 to 180.
30 to 150.
Yeah.
So we're a little closer on this one. But that does tell you something. I mean, a smaller property, it's not that hard to get to the right number. I mean, because we're not that far off. I mean, 30 to 60,000. Which is right? What's the most accurate number?
Whichever one you spend.
Yes.
Exactly, whichever way you want to go with it. And they're all right. So 30 to 60, can you easily spend $60,000 on this? Absolutely. All right. So $30 to $60,000. On the $30,000 side means you're just doing the basics, or you're doing a lot of the work yourself. I imagine you're thinking about.
Actually, it probably was more than. That was 30 without the without 10% or 15%, so I'd be closer to 35. But
35.
roof, kitchen, bathroom floors.
When we're looking at the properties, even if you intend to do the work yourself, don't try to figure out the repair budget number of you doing the work for yourself, because then you're going to always come up with the low number, which it'll benefit you with making your offers on the property, but what's the point? Why bump your offer up so much? So cut down on your repair numbers so that you can push your offer number up to buy a property that you are now forced to do all the work on.
Right.
Where's your profit?
Minimum.
It's in your sweat equity. Right? And so if you don't have the time for the sweat equity, where's that going to come from? And still, if you do the numbers, even if you plan on doing it yourself, that's great. But do it based on the number that the contractor is going to do. I mean, don't you think your time is at least worth what a contractor's time is? I've hired contractors that people said, why would you hire them? And they've done a hell of a lot better work than supposed professional contractors. That just because they have a nice fancy truck and charge a lot of money doesn't mean that they're sometimes the worst.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, because they're hiring the cheapest labor to do the work for them. So that's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother class. Finding the right contractors, which is not the easiest thing to do. But you do have to be considerate of that. And when we're looking at properties as investors, we're not looking to hire the most expensive contractors either. That's another thing. The exact same amount of work, one contractor could come in at 30 and another contractor could come in for 60 at the exact same amount of work, just depending on the type and the quality of the contractors. So our goal here is strictly to come up with what a ballpark number is going to be on the property, and then find a contractor that'll do the work within that budget. Okay? And that's the general goal. And our numbers, and what we're trying to do, our main goal is to try to find a number that the average contractor that is willing to work with investors would do the project for. Not the cheapest contractors that you can hire off the street, and not the most expensive ones just because they didn't want the job. I mean, as an example, the St. Cloud, that garage, I got 3 different bids on that garage roof.
Oh.
1,000, 2,000, and 4,000.
Jeez. Yeah.
For the exact same garage roof.
Right. And it's not much bigger than that even.
It's double the size. It's a
I suppose.
It's a 2.5 car garage.
Right.
I mean, it's a decent sized garage, but it's not $4,000 worth of work and material.
Right.
right? But that contractor that wanted 4,000, they're willing to do it if they're willing to drop other projects. If I'm willing to overpay for a project. A friend of mine's a plumber. He's like, I just got paid $25,000 in labor for this big apartment complex to go through and redo all this stuff. He says, I did the exact same type of a project for the exact same owner a year and a half ago, and I charged $15,000. He says, but I'm so busy and it's so labor intensive, I didn't want the work right now, so I added 10. And he couldn't get the work done, and the city's making him get the work done, so he accepted the bid.
Yeah,
It's because he can't find a plumber to do it. He says, okay, I'll take the extra 10 and do it. You know, that's just the way it works. You know, so if they don't want the work, or they're not capable of getting the work done right now, they're going to just up their bid, and then everyone says, well, that's the cost. No, just because somebody's offering that doesn't mean that's what the cost. Like I said, 1,000, 2,000, and 4,000 for the exact same roof. Right, a small one.
Take 3 bids.
Yeah, if you don't have a contractor right now, a good starting place is to get three bids, just to see where everyone's at, and then you also get a feel for who's pushing it up just because they don't want it, and who's lowering it down because they don't know how to bid it. Right, so there's a little bit of a learning curve in there too. Right now, we have a biggest problem is finding skilled labor that is not getting government money to not work.
Right.
That's the biggest problem right at this particular moment. So with that, what do you guys think the property is worth? So you had comps on there. This was a tricky one. I actually added that map on that on the one page to show you what I selected and where they were.
That's around that 280 range.
I said 260.
260, 280,
We said 289.
289,
275.
275, 325,
225.
225. Okay, now is that based on your on
It's
a,
on 220.
I'd say 275, 275.
285 to 290? Okay, of all those properties on there, how many of them are actually a true comp? One. Literally only one of those is actually a true comp. And that was for 285. What was it listed for?
259.
It was listed for 259. It sold for how much? In how many days?
Oh, I didn't even notice it.
The market's crazy.
We're talking 350 right?
So comfortably, 285 would be a very, very comfortable low number.
Well, that's
Why is that? Can you help me understand that?
The 285?
Yeah, because I'm looking at that count going, it's 1,204 square feet.
And we're at 1,300.
That's why it's a safe bet.
Okay.
Just one last.
So we're a little bit more in total finished square footage.
Sure.
Okay. And it's a very similar type of a neighborhood. That's the biggest thing.
Okay.
So square footage is going to be generally the same.
We got more bedrooms.
Do we have one more bedroom?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, there are 3 and we're 4.
Last bathroom.
Now according to the picture, I could see it looks like they had a more spaced out and a bigger yard. So they're compensating factors, but the biggest thing is the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage in the properties right now. Those are the biggest ones. So, and we're trying to get this property in its as-is condition to the most value, and what I could find is 285. If I could have found 3 or 4 more properties that were very similar to this, I would have used them all and just taken the average. But we only have one. The rest of them are more expensive, a little bit better neighborhoods, and a little bit bigger and a little bit newer. So they were not true comps to this property. So we only found one within 1 mile. I had to stretch it out a whole mile to find a comp, which is where things get hard. When you got to stretch it out that far to find comps, it gets a little bit more difficult. I just know with our current market right now, if you got to stretch it out a lot of times you have to stretch it out that far because there's not enough inventory to compare them against. And the buyers are feeling the exact same thing. And they're willing to pay that or more for the properties. So if we can get a good quality property in mint condition on the market for roughly what the last property sold for, and if we can do it in 30 to 40 days, by the time, to get it on the market, it'll go quick. So, and you saw 259, one day it sold for 285 was the accepted offer. Now, 285, so what did you guys come up with for purchase price, or an cash offer, a mail?
180.
What's that?
180.
180? I didn't even run mine yet. I gotta go do that.
I think you got a wiggle in there, but that's 145.
Got a 145, a 180.
200. 180 is what
190 at 3% earnest.
10% realtor fees.
You know?
All right, what did I hear for the lowest one?
I said 160.
160?
Yeah, I'm
That's
looking
at
at 160 as
145.
well.
160?
We're about 140.
And you said 180?
Work that has to be
140.
140?
done. Itself.
170 yourself? 200? You may want to go sell it her.
Get her
And
number.
what'd you say?
160.
160? Yeah. So it seems about the average number around 160. I came up with 170 myself.
Oh, okay.
So 170 to 180, 160 to 180 is a comfortable number. Now, if we're competing against multiple offers, are we getting it for 170, 180? No. We'd be lucky to get it for 250.
That's just for the lot alone, you know?
We're trying to figure out what number should be, not what we're going to buy the property for. Those are two different things. Our mail or our offer price, that's our safe number. If we buy it at that price, in that range, we're going to be okay. We're going to do good. Now you got to decide from there, how much do I want to go up from there and how to get into the property. If you're going to fix and flip it, you really don't want to get up much more than that. Which is, as an investor, if that's our goal, is to fix and flip, it becomes more and more difficult to find properties. So now you have to look at, do I want to fix and flip it, or if I start going up from there, can you fix and flip it and turn a profit on it? Under a normal circumstance. No, now what you're going to be looking at doing is holding on to it. So now you come in and say, okay, my cash offer would be 160 to 180. Just average it out to the 170. So I'm at 170. If I'm working with the homeowner by herself and I'm not in any competition, I'm not going to budge my number. Now I'm going to say, okay, if I'll try to make an offer like that, but I'm also talking to the seller and I'm trying to find, well, what do you owe on the property?
Right.
That's an important question to ask, because what happens if she owes 210? And I'm coming in at 170 and she owes 210. Is she going to have the ability to even sell it to me at my 170 offer? No, so this is where you can come into the seller and say, but I got to run my numbers, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to even make an offer based on what you owe. You know, let me see if I can't come up with another creative alternative as well. But let me go run my numbers. And so then I'm going to go back, run those numbers, and say, look, best I can do is with a cash offer, because I have to go to my investors, is the best I can do is 170. But I could get you owe the 210 if I just took over your loan, so I didn't have to go get new financing. And then rather than renovate the property like I was planning on doing, I'll just hold on to it for the long term, and then I'll get my cash flow. I'll get it from the cash flow rather than the fix and flip.
Okay.
So now you're saying why you would come up with another alternative type of offer,
Right.
which is basically what I did with St. Cloud. I'm like, the only way I can do that is I'll take over your mortgage,
Okay.
and then I'll give you some moving money. And if we can get them to agree to that, now as we're negotiating on is what we're giving them for a down payment for their moving money. And then in that case, so I can't remember what my numbers ended up being at. They owed, I know my Mayo number was like around 70 or 80.
Oh, wow.
And they owed like 110 on it. So that's where they said, okay, you can take it over, and then we just negotiated on the down payment. So I offered them 25. They said they came back at 10, and then we settled at 5. So I gave them $5,000. Now, based on that, would I be able to renovate that property and sell it? No. So that's why I'm holding on to it as a rental, and I'm just going to cash flow it. All right, furnace and water heater are good.
Brand new water,
Yeah.
only 2 months old.
2 months old, so yeah, I guess that's really good. Electrical,
Been upgraded.
Yes, it has.
2018.
4 years ago.
the panel has been upgraded,
I have had some new wiring run upstairs.
but the whole house is not up to code on the wiring. All right, so yeah, you're definitely gonna have to do some electrical work, but it's not gonna be a lot, because the panel has been upgraded, the biggest thing. But I would still plan on budget probably $1,000 or so on electrical to get everything up to code. You don't have to rerun all new wiring in this property, but you do need to get it up to code, because we got the panel. The biggest problem is the upstairs, and that more than likely can be solved by just putting some GFI outlets in there and then getting those strung together. Or if an electrician does have to come through here and run some new wiring, it won't be much at all. So, a few $100, maybe $1,000 is very typical to get them up to code.
Done and the 2 bedrooms done, especially in the major, but I was trying to do it myself and it kept slipping out. I just finally called an electrician and had him do it because I got tired of fighting.
Yeah, when it comes to running wires, I even call electricians because they're accustomed to doing that and they're skilled at doing that. I try to run wires through and fish it through walls without cutting the sheetrock. And what I wanted to point out was the upstairs. So the question now is, do you guys want to go up there, or do you guys remember what it looks like up there?
I remember.
Is there the second floor?
Yeah. The issue is the vaulted ceiling, which is fine, but there's like no, it's not the code. But when we get upstairs, do you think that would qualify as a bedroom up there?
No.
No.
Not under any code except for conventional.
Yep.
Conventional appraisers they're not going to consider or take that into account. FHA, VA, and again, Section 8 will look at that stuff and take into account. So they're not going to give us credit as that bedroom up there if we wanted a Section 8 tenant in there, or if we're going to sell it FHA or VA buyer. Now, there's a distinction or a difference to when we had this conversation earlier. So upstairs, what you need to do is find out, okay, where does it get to 7 feet? Well, not even in the middle. Not even in the middle. It's not even at 7 feet. So we're never going to hit that number. But let's imagine it did get to 7 feet. You take wherever it gets to 7 feet and then measure across, so that the peak that keeps going up, that's above 7 feet. So you measure from here at 7 feet to here at 7 feet, to the floor. Okay, what's that distance? Then you measure the floor, and the floor has to be at least twice that distance.
Yeah.
So if it's twice that distance, they'll give you credit for livable square footage in a bedroom. Now, because it's not going to qualify for that, is that still considered livable finished square footage?
Yes.
Yes. The distinction now becomes down in the basement, because we're below grade here. If we'd finished this off and we were all like at this level, and they came down here, then they said, okay, that's too low, you're below that threshold. Now would they consider this finished square footage?
No.
25% credit is all they'll give you. So they'll say if you measured this all out and say you got a 20 by 20, so you got 400 square feet, they'll say, okay, 400 square foot, but because we don't have a high enough ceiling, we're only going to give you, it's not going to be a legal bedroom, and we're going to only give you 25% credit. So that 400 square feet only counts as 100 square foot. So you have to keep that in mind. That's why I don't want to spend money in basements and finish them off, where it's totally different if it's above grade. They'll give us credit for square footage, but they won't give us credit as a bedroom for FHA or VA.
What if it's a walkout?
It's still the ceiling height, not the fact that it's a walkout.
Okay.
The walkout with a door is only going to give us the benefit of an egress if we don't have an egress window.
Sure.
That's the whole goal, is to get everyone to at least in the ballpark. That's the whole why we do these. Get you guys in the ballpark, give you guys ideas and guidelines to follow, help you feel more confident when you do come through here with your numbers, that you're, because I see so many people, they come out with a number, and it's the right number, but they're not confident in it, so so no offer's made. You need to make the offers. And when you hear a whole bunch of other people that are at least coming into the same ballpark and have the same thought process, and if your number was way off, figure out why. And that's what we try to help you guys do. Figure out why your number was off. What did you see that we didn't see? Or what did you miss that we did? All those are the types of things. And how to not get into the super nitty-gritty. Because I see a lot of people get too deep into trying to figure these numbers out. So, like what we did tonight shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes maximum to come through a property. Now, you're not going to do 15 minutes of your first time going through a property, but after you've gone through, I'd say if you get to the point of making 20 offers. So you go through all the due diligence right now. And I recommend even go out there right now and look at properties on the MLS and make offers on them. And make the numbers based on our numbers, because you know who's going to accept those offers? Nobody. So make the offer knowing that nobody's going to accept the offer. You are going to probably piss off a few realtors, but at this point, this is your education, so don't worry about it.
To me, I'll have fun.
Just go through that process and make the offers, knowing that nobody's going to accept it. And if you get an offer, if you do come through, and you do get an offer accepted, and you are freaking out, call me, because I will buy the property from you. You can wholesale it to me.
There we go.
Because if you use these numbers and these formulas that we're teaching you and got an offer accepted, I guarantee you I'll buy it. All right.
Assuming there are 10 going on already.
Using these numbers now, mind you, not the other numbers.